Hi guys, Ronnie here. Welcome to my workshop. You have been asking for my experiences with the Molten Speed Wax, so today I'm going to tell you about that. So it happens, I have also dressed for the occasion, as you can see. Nice t-shirt there. And I'm also going to compare it with my experiences on the Squirt Lube. I didn't want to rush this because I wanted to give you some good advice and I needed some time to get some proper kilometers in the speed wax in different conditions. But now I've done around 1,000 kilometers on it, so let's check into it. Okay, so I have them both here. These are both small retail packages that you can normally buy. So on the left corner, Molten Speed Wax, 450 grams. It's a solid paraffin wax with molybdenum and Teflon. And in the right corner, Squirt Lube, wax-based white drip lubricant. And then as a bonus, I'm going to talk a bit about Molten Speed Wax race powder as well. Okay, so before we start, I want to point out I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, and whichever you choose, it's gonna be vastly superior to the chain lube you have on your bike right now. In terms of application, the Squirt Lube is a standard drip lube, really similar to oil-based lubes. The only difference is that you actually have to leave it on to dry a bit, and only after that it's ready to ride. But otherwise, no real faff about the Squirt Lube. But of course it's not compatible with oil-based lubes, so you'll have to clean and grease your chain before applying it. Same goes for the Molten Speed Wax, but the application is a lot more laborious. Since it's basically a solid wax, you have to melt it first in a slow cooker, and then you have to submerge your chain in it, leave it in for a couple of minutes and agitate it, and then you have to hang it on a wall or somewhere vertical, so the excess wax drips off, and then you have to, the chain gets quite stiff from the wax itself, so you have to break it up a bit, and then it's ready to ride. Basically, you just put it on and off you go. So in terms of application, the Squirt Lube is much more convenient and simple. So what about the performance? According to Velonews tests, the Molten Speed Wax is the fastest lube on earth. The Squirt Lube coming in at a close second. So if you're after performance, you can't go wrong with any of these. But you can also tune it up with a bit of race powder, which is molybdenum powder that decreases the friction by another 6%, or so they say. So it's excellent for race use. I wouldn't recommend it using it outside racing because it's a bit messy, although once you have your chain finished off with it, as you can see, this one, it's not really visible, so I'm going to show it to you later, but it creates a matte powdery finish on there that's really resistant to coming off even in rainy conditions, so excellent for race use, for long races. But again, it's messy to apply, so it's best left to race applications. In terms of longevity, both are a lot more durable than standard lubes. I tend to apply the Squirt Lube quite often, around every 100-150 kilometers, depending on the conditions. and it also makes your drivetrain last a lot longer, at least in my experience. It makes it quite a bit quieter and a lot cleaner, but I'm going to talk about that in a second. And it's quite hard to wash off in rainy rides. The Molten Speed Wax lasts considerably longer, around 200 to 300 kilometers. Well, that's on my road bike at least. For some reason, I found out that on my TT bike, in the 1x setup, it doesn't last nearly as long. I'm not quite sure why, but it just happens. So I haven't really figured out the solution yet, but still, the performance is there definitely. You can actually, when you touch the chain, you can feel how slippery it is, even after it has been ridden for a while. And it's when you first apply it and the coating is fresh, the chain is completely and utterly silent, as if there was a belt drive on it or something. So I guess that's just another confirmation that the friction is extremely low. The one thing I don't really like about the Squirt Lube is the grey waxy residue that keeps building up on your chain rings and your cassette. You can see it a bit here, not too much residue on this one, but it builds up because the squirt never really gets completely solid and dry, and when you got a thick layer on there, it's a bit tricky to clean, but still it's miles better than what you get with a standard oil-based lube. In comparison, the Molten Speed Wax dries on your chain completely, so the flakes that come off are really dry and can't really stick to anything or build up, so your drivetrain remains as clean as it's gonna get probably. To sum it up, which one should you choose then? Well, I have 3 options for you, depending on the use. If you have one bike and use only one chain with not much racing at all, then I would suggest to stick with the Squirt Lube because of its ease of application and its overall high performance. So it's gonna be much better for your drivetrain. If you have one bike and race, then I would suggest investing in a separate chain that you use just for racing and treat that with speed wax and race powder. I have one powdered chain here to show you. As you can see, it has kind of a matte finish to it. That's because of the powder, and the friction there is extremely low, probably the lowest possible. And then for training rides, for a training chain, you just stick to Squirt Lube again. But if you're a bit like me and you have multiple bikes, or you plan on investing into multiple chains for one of your bikes or all of your bikes or whatever permutation of that, then the application of Molten Speed Wax doesn't seem so arduous anymore, because you can do all your chains again and then you gradually wear them out one by one, and then you take them all off again, put them in the wax, get a fresh coat, and you're good to go for another 2 or 3 weeks maybe. So this would be my suggestion. If you would like to know more about the application of Molten Speed Wax, then don't forget to check out that video as well. If you have any questions regarding these chain loops, then do not hesitate to comment on this video. And if you'd like to see more about my bikes, or about other cool stuff that I use, then tune into my channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.